Hey everyone, it's Derek here, bringing you my Madison, Wisconsin Ferocious Cup tournament. Thank you guys so much for watching. Game 1 here in round 1 is against 4 Dick Carrot. I lead with my Alolan Sandslash here, and I go ahead right away for this Ice Punch. He does shield, so that's great. And I switch out to preserve that Alolan Sandslash just in case he does have that Alolan Ninetales in the back. At this point here, we've got Sandslash versus Skuntank, which is a very positive matchup on my part. I go for the return, hoping to burn the shield here. Don't quite get it, so I do have this other return right away in my pocket. That does take down his last shield. At this point, I've got 2 shields in my pocket, so I do use one right away, knowing that I've got this return ready to rock and roll, and this will take out the Skuntank. Skuntank falls. He brings back in the Nidoqueen. I'm feeling good here now. We've got the Sandslash still, which we can keep in the back, so I bring in the Umbreon. I take this attack because of Umbreon's massive bulk. Earth Power does a decent chunk, and he does get the defense drop. Ooh, and he's got the Shelgon in the back, so good thing I've got this Alolan Sandslash. It's already got energy, ready to rock and roll, take this thing out. 2 Ice Punches will do the trick, and then he's still got the Nidoqueen in the back with just a bit of health left, about half. I can shield this if I want to. I don't even have to if I don't want to. But I do shield that, and then I've got an Ice Punch here, which will drop this down, and that is the end of Game 1. Going into Game 2, we're going to go ahead and see what we can do here in terms of the lead. We did pretty well in the last game, so I don't really have too many concerns, and I win the lead even bigger this time. So I've got Sandslash versus the Skuntank here. I'm powering up all this energy, and then I flip out into the Alolan Sandslash as soon as he flips into the Shelgon. I want to make sure I'm preserving my advantage at all times. If you've got the advantage, take it, do what you've got to do. You want to make sure that you save that. I do shield the Flamethrower there. Flamethrower would definitely drop down the Alolan Sandslash, so that takes out the Shelgon. He's got Skuntank that he brings back in here. I'm just going to shield this here because I've got the shield available to me, and I've got this Ice Punch ready to rock. And he does shield that, so there's no shields left at this point. I'm able to bring in my regular Sandslash, my Cantonian Sandslash, and I get that huge Earthquake. He's got Nidoqueen here in the back, and I have another Earthquake ready to go, and Earthquake drops it out. So that's the end of Game 2, and he does actually forfeit Game 3. So going into round number 2 here, I'm against Seabass59. So Seabass here has a very interesting team, as you can see, but I am going to bring in Bibarel, Sandslash, and Umbreon. Bibarel and Sandslash both have 3 positive matchups, and then the Umbreon is my best matchup that I pretty much got for the Licky Licky and for the Weavile. So, as you can see here, we're both shielding here, both trying to preserve our front leads here. I throw my last shield here because I can. I see that he's going to invest, and I realize that I've got to go for this charge attack here. If not, he is going to be able to get one more crunch and take me out. So I've got a Surf for the Donphan that comes in fresh. He does shield that, so his shields are down. But I've got just enough damage here on this Donphan. Typically, Donphan can beat Umbreon in the 0 shields, but with that tiny chunk of damage that's there, I have enough damage on it that I'm going to be able to take this out with Umbreon alone. So as you can see, that does a decent chunk of damage still to the Umbreon with that Earthquake, but it's not enough to take it out, and I have enough energy to get to the second Foul Play. He's got a Alolan Marowak in the back here, and I've got Sandslash, so I'm feeling really good about this. I'm in a good spot overall. I am able to take that Shadow Ball, and this does come down pretty much to the wire, but this Earthquake will drop the Marowak, so I win Game 1. Game 2, I'm going to lead with my Sandslash here, and have the exact same Pokemon. We're just flip-flopping the lead. Alright, so getting into this game here then. So we've got Sandslash versus Skuntank, so fantastic. I have a fantastic matchup here. He brings in the Licky Licky, and I go for the Umbreon, which is that decent matchup against it. Licky Licky versus Umbreon. Wasn't really expecting to see any Licky Licky at this tournament, but I am seeing it here. So with this, I'm just going to stay the course, going for my foul plays. Foul play does decent damage to the Licky Licky. He does burn a shield there, and I am able to get to another one. Will this take down his second shield? Yes, it does. So he is out of shields. He does switch out, but I am actually ready with this last resort here for this Skuntank, which does a decent chunk of damage, almost half there, maybe a little more than a third overall. He does take out my Umbreon at this point, and that's fine. I've got Sandslash with all this energy here, and I go for a return here, thinking it's going to take it out. It does not quite take it out, so he is able to get off another charge attack before being knocked out, so I do shield this crunch, and then I take that thing down with fast attacks. He has this Donphan in the back. I've got Bibarel, so I'm going to whittle this down as much as I can since I still have the shield. He does bring in the Licky Licky, and I shield this thinking it's a Solar Beam, and it is. He's using it as his grass attacker. I figure I can't get all the way up to my Hyper Beam, so I go with the Surf, and he brings back in the Donphan, which takes me out, but I am ready with an Earthquake of my own, and that Earthquake takes out his Donphan. So going into Game 3, we're going to go back to the same lineup from game number 1. May as well just keep switching back and forth. Those are clearly my best 3 options. And he leads with the Weavile here. Weavile's an interesting pick. It does a decent amount of damage, but it is super fragile. I go for this Surf here, which he does shield. And at this point, I'm debating on the shield. I decide to throw it up, and I am so glad I did, because I was not ready for a Focus Blast to come through. I'm able to get to another Surf here. We'll see if it takes a shield, and it does. He does have another charge attack here, so yet again, we're going to have all shields down right after the first matchup, and as you can see, I've got half health left, so I'm in a really good spot. I go for the switch into my Umbreon, and he switches into his Donphan. So, similar to before, you can tell that I may or may not be able to take this, depending if he gets to the Earthquake. I shouldn't necessarily be going for the last resorts here, but I am, and whatever, it works out fine for me. I go for another one here. This should be a foul play. Don't know why I'm not going for the foul plays. I'll learn my lesson throughout the tournament, I'm sure, I swear. I do get dropped by that Solar Beam there, but I'm able to bring in Bibarel, who has plenty of energy, and I am able to finish this thing off with a Hyper Beam. So good game, good game. All right, going into round number 3 here. He's got a really balanced team. I'm really kind of scared to play against this team, so I do lead with the Umbreon, thinking that it's got the best chance as long as he doesn't lead with that Ninetales, which is a super risky play, so he doesn't do that. I shield this thinking that it's a Hydro Pump, and it's not. He went straight for the Bubble Beam, so I wasn't really ready for that. Yet again, here I am with the last resort. Thankfully, this time it's the right move for the right target. I do switch out into my Bibarel here. I take the Crunch, and I get up to a Surf. We'll see if this Skuntank is going to take that Surf. It does not. It does use a shield. So at this point, I'm going to let my Bibarel go down. Not feeling super great about where I'm at in this game number 1. I bring in the Sandslash here to build up some energy, as well as to essentially use it as, a shield at this point. So it does take that Crunch, which does way too much damage, but I've got to do it. At this point, I go for an Ice Punch here. This is an interesting play. It does get his shield, which is great. And I do shield again, knowing that I've got to get as much damage humanly possible here. I switch back into my Umbreon, and I go for a last resort. Yet again, this should not be a last resort. This should be a foul play. And he switches into the Ninetales. So not in a great spot, even though I do have that Sandslash in the back. I do get another charge attack here to do as much damage as I can. But here's where I make a huge mistake here. I'm going to lose this game no matter what, and yet I still go for the Gyro Ball. I've now shown him my entire Alolan Sandslash moveset, and he's going to be able to use that against me in the future here, which isn't great. So I do lose game number 1. Going into game 2, I'm going with double Sandslash and with Minun to try and cover that Suicune, and I lose the lead, and I have to get out of there immediately. So I flip out of there, and I bring in the Minun. At this point, I take this, and thankfully it is just a Bubble Beam. He switches into Skuntank, So at this point here, I'm going to just kind of survive as long as I possibly can. I know that I've got an okay matchup here with the Minun versus the Skuntank. And I do go for this Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt does get shielded, unfortunately, so should have probably gone for a Discharge. I do need to go all in here, though, so I shield once more. He's still got a shield left. I switch as soon as I can into the Sandslash. That way I can start farming energy up as much as I possibly can. He does crunch me then, and I am able to fast attack this thing down. So that way he was really close to another charge move. I go for the Earthquake here, which is a huge play, but I'm in a bad spot, and he takes it. So he does not shield. So then I have a return immediately afterwards, which he does shield, just to keep himself alive. But I do get to another return before he can get off a charge move. So the Suicune goes down. He does have Ninetales in the back, but I've got the perfect counter in the back in my Alolan Sandslash, and I will be able to take him out here with this Gyro Ball. So good game 2, and we're going to go into a game number 3. Alright, so we're going to see what we can do in this one here. I do lead Bibarel, he leads Suicune, so we're going to grind this out as much as possible. Might be in a slightly better spot here if I am running Hyper Fang, but I do really like the Hyper Beam available as a finishing move. So at this point here, we're going to go for a Surf, see if maybe we can bait that shield. We do not bait it, but that's okay. We're just going to keep taking these attacks, and we're going to sit here as long as possible. We're going to put in as little investment as humanly possible. I do switch out as soon as he does, and I do go into that Minun again, knowing again that I've got that Minun Skuntank matchup is favorable at my part. So I do go for a Discharge here, which he does shield. And on the second one, so he's got another charge attack coming in. I take this one, and at this point, I should have charged all the way up to a Thunderbolt since he did just burn his energy. So I don't do that, and I am not able to get to another charge attack before I do get knocked out. So I've got the Sandslash, which I bring in here to farm up a little bit of energy. Again, not knowing what his third mon is in the back, I want to have some energy built up just in case it is, something that the Sandslash can take care of. I go for the Ice Punch here, and that won't grab a shield because guess what? He knew my moveset. There was no way I was baiting him into using a shield there. So I switch back out into the Bibarel. I take this charge attack because I have to. It's another Bubble Beam. And I go for the Surf here. The Surf should get his last shield. It does. Shields are down. I've got another Surf ready to go. And that does a decent chunk of damage. But I'm able to switch back in here, pound away so I can get this Gyro Ball off. This will take out the Ninetales. And he has that Suicune in the back. We're about at the same health. And Bubble Beam, and I can barely survive, and I do get to this Ice Punch here. And funny thing, this Ice Punch doesn't even take it out, but one more fast attack does. So that is that game. Great game. I'm 3-0 going into the last round here against G-Bike. I lead with Umbreon because, again, he's got a super balanced team, and I've got no idea what he's going to throw at me. So Umbreon versus Nidoqueen here. We're going to see what we do. Oh, we go for Last Resort again because I still haven't learned my lesson through the rest of this tournament. Watching this video back and commentating on it, I've definitely learned my lesson. Do not go for Last Resort unless it makes sense to go for Last Resort. But here, hey look, I may have learned my lesson and I go for the Foul Play. I do get his shield there, which is great. I'm going to take this. Umbreon does survive, and I get to one more charge attack. We'll see if this drops him or if he shields. It does take him out, so I am going to win this switch advantage here. We're both at one shield. He does switch out immediately, and I bring in the Alolan Sandslash here. This is going to take a ton of damage from Brick Breaks, and it hurts a lot, so I'm not going to overly invest. I do go for this Ice Punch here, thinking maybe I can grab a shield. He doesn't know if it's Bulldoze necessarily or not, but doesn't get it. He takes me out, and I've got mine in here to do work against his last Pokemon. I go for the Discharge. That does take him out. We've both got one shield remaining. I'm forced to invest mine here, so we don't take any damage because of the shield. I've got a Discharge on the Bibarel. That does take down his last shield. And we get to the Discharge. Wow, I had just enough energy with that Minun to get to the Discharge and be able to take him out to take that game. Going into game 2, I'm going to go with the Minun lead to hopefully catch a water, and I do. So you win the lead here. That's a great spot to be in. I bring double Sandslash in the back, so I've got the perfect switch when he brings in this Ninetales. We've got a Gyro Ball coming in, and he shields the Gyro Ball. This might be an interesting play overall, but he seems to be going all in on this Ninetales, knowing he's in a bad spot. He doesn't even know if I've got Umbreon in the back or not, so trying to preserve it, I kind of get it. So shields are all down, I've got mine remaining. I do go for this Ice Punch here just to get what damage I can before I am knocked out. And he gets a charge attack off there, which is interesting. But I'll take it, and he does knock out my Alolan Sandslash. But I bring back in my Minun here. I go for a Discharge. He's got no shields remaining, so that does take out the Ninetales. He's got a Nidoqueen in the back, but I have Sandslash. And Sandslash gets all the way up to return here, and we're going to return this Bibarel as much as we can. Get one return, get a second return. Return charges so fast with Mudshot. It's crazy. Definitely worth investing in a Purified Sandslash if you can find one. So I do use my first shield there because I've got them and it makes sense to do so. I get another return to drop the Bibarel here, and it's a race to the Earthquake. Can we get there? Not before he gets a charge attack, but I do have that second shield in the back, so I shield the Earth Power, and here is the Earthquake for the game. So that is game number 2. I do win that. That will put me to 4-0 overall in the tournament, but we do play out the game 3 here. I go with Minun and double Sandslash. I do catch a water on the front here. He's got the Raichu in the back, so I do bring in the Sandslash. But something to note about the double Sandslash lineup, even if you do bring a counter, it is still pretty weak overall to double water, so it is something to watch out for. It's a risky play to bring it. It did work out for me in game number 2, but as you'll see here in game number 3, it's a little bit different of a story. So get these returns off here onto this Raichu, hoping to grab a shield or two. Not able to do so. I do take out the Raichu, but get to one more return on the Suicune. And man, that return just charges so fast. He does shield the Suicune. I've got Alolan Sandslash and Minun in the back. Obviously bringing in the Minun here, it's the best matchup that I've got on this Suicune. He Bubble Beams me and he baits the shield. So he's got the shield advantage here. He's just in a great spot. At this point here, I don't shield this, and it's a Hydro Pump, and he got me good. The bait just worked out for him really well. I basically blind switch into the Alolan Sandslash, knowing that I've got to preserve that Minun for the Suicune, and go figure it's another water type that's in the back. Not in a great spot here. I take the Surf, trying to get to the Ice Punch here, just to, again, do what damage I can. But that Minun's in the back with such little health. It comes back in, and I go down with a shield in my pocket. Hey, it happens. But I do finish 4-0 in the tournament here. I definitely learned a few things about my team, about better ways to use Umbreon for sure. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Wanted to bring this to you since it is a double Sandslash set, and that's not super common in Ferocious. I do look forward to playing in the Timeless Cup next month, and I do appreciate your likes, comments, and subscriptions to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.